Good morning, Young Kings. Time for your morning motivation this morning. Just ran 3 miles. Um, Try to increase my speed today. Um, Got it down to 27 minutes and 10 seconds. So I was tempted to go further, but I figure I'll stop at 3 miles while my body's still kind of recovering and trying to increase my speed and perfect this stage before I move on to the next one. So it's kind of dark out here today, and that's intentional. I'm up before the sunrise, grinding, and that's what you're gonna have to realize in your dreams. Like, you can't afford to sleep in. You're gonna have to do something while other people are doing nothing. And that's how you're gonna make up ground and make up time. That's while they sleeping, you need to be grinding and doing something productive. So yeah, I normally get up about 5 in the morning, and after I get my sleep cycle back down, I think I might even move it back to 4:30. So trying to be efficient with my mornings and get my morning coffee in, my workout, and start grinding and going from there. So that's what I want to talk to you about today, is like starting on your dreams. This is, in order for you to make your dream a reality, you got to wake up. Dreams is come to everyone. Everybody got a goal. You talk to little kids in kindergarten, first grade, their imagination is running wild because it's unbridled, and they know that they want to be something great, and something great is in them. So you go ask them what they want to be, and some want to be scientists, some want to be firemen, some want to be astronauts. You'll be surprised at the creativity that the unbridled brain will come up with. They don't have that limitations on, and you only can go this far, you only can do this much, you're only this smart. Their minds is without limits, so they reach for the stars and they think they can do it. It's only through the course of living that they start listening to people, and those limitations start to encroach upon them, meaning that they start to realize, hey, you're not the fastest, how you gonna run track? You're not the smartest, how you gonna get into this school? You're not the strongest, how you gonna do this and that? And people start telling them what they're not, and then they start to believe that. They start to believe their environment around them is preventing them from accomplishing the things that they set out to do, or that their mind embraced. So you're gonna have to get to a point in your life where you take the shackles off your brain. There needs to be an emancipation proclamation of the freedom of your thought. Your brain can no longer be a slave to the thoughts that come into it, or the things that's projected on it by other people. You're gonna have to grow, and it's gonna have to take the chains off that thing in order for it to be free. So in order for that dream to become a reality, you're gonna have to wake up. You're gonna have to get up before the sunrise. You're gonna have to start grinding and doing some things that people won't do. And that's gonna be the key to your success. It's stepping out there when other people are afraid to take the next step. You continuing to progress and move forward. And you got to be able to have a short memory of your failures and your setbacks. You got to realize, so although it didn't work out the first time, the second time, you gotta forget that. And I think that's what made Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant so bright. They could brilliant on the court. It was like they could start off the game and they could be like 0 for 7 or 0 for 8, and they're still going to end the game with 35, 40 points, because they understood, like, they put enough work in for that thing to be turned around. Like, what they were experiencing, that setback, those missed shots, those was just temporary. And me being a former basketball player myself, a self-proclaimed shooter, I used to have a motto. I don't care how many I miss. I used to always say, my next shot, my best shot. Meaning that I could miss 20 in a row, and I still think I'm on fire. I'm going to shoot it up. So you just got to have that type of confidence and have a short memory, and being able to understand, like, although you missed, although you off the mark this time, shoot the next shot. Keep going, because the game is still The game is still being played. And this game is called life, you know. So as long as you got time on the clock, man, you got to shoot that shot. It's time to have the highest scoring average of your life, because it is your life. You know, you got to start grinding to a point where you understand, like, hey, I'm better than this. And how do you get better? It can't be just a thought, the thinking I'm better than this. You're going to have to get up and do something to show. You got to put that hours in the gym. You got to run that extra mile. You know, they said the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little word extra. You got to go do a little extra. You can't be ordinary, wake up at, 10 o'clock, be racing to get to work or whatever, and then always running late and then thinking when it comes to your paycheck, you want an extraordinary result. No, you got to do a little extra. You got to get up early. You need to be the first one, probably the last one to leave. You can decide which one it's going to be. I'm not asking you to spend your whole life at work, but I'm asking you to invest in your dream. And if your work is not connected to your dream, then you got to work to connect it. Maybe you got to change jobs and get somewhere where you can be motivated to give a little extra. So you don't just get to a point where you're just going through the motions. And when you find yourself going through the motions, you got to recognize that and be able to take a pause and stop. And we're like, hey, I'm not normal. I'm abnormal. It's time to do something different. So keep grinding. You got to make sure your memory is short. And I was going to get you to the example of an elephant. I think I told you all this example before, but the elephant has the best memory of all mammals that exist. I mean, its memory is infinite. It just the animals are like the elephants are more like matriarch, so they're like female dominant, but they have great memories, and that works against them at times. Meaning, like when people, poachers or people, they capture elephants, zookeepers or whatever, they put a chain on his leg while it's small. Now, that elephant is going to grow to extraordinary size and get extraordinary strength, but it still remembers that chain when it was small. So that chain when it was small, it can hold the elephant and say, hey, you can only go this far. And it'll get to that limit, and that still big chain, it will stop the elephant. And when it's stopping the elephant in its youth, it's conditioning that elephant for when it's an adult. It's conditioning the boundaries of how far that elephant can go. So the elephant gets to the end of that chain and it realizes it forces and it keeps trying while it's young, and it gets conditioned to a point where it says, man, I'm never going to break this chain. So it starts to give up. Now the elephant is growing in strength and in size, and it gets to a point where it's able to break the chain, but it doesn't even try because it's been conditioned that it's going to be too hard. So now the chain was never supposed to be able to hold the elephant that size. It's holding the elephant because his mind has been conditioned to say you can only go this far. So if that elephant was to ever realize the strength, it wouldn't be able to be in captivity. That elephant is you. I mean, let's address the elephant in the room. The elephant is me. It's like if we were to really address what's holding us back and really try to break through those ceilings, and get to the point where we're exercising our strengths, our God-given talents, our gifts, our ability, we wouldn't be held back. The truth of the matter is, like, we're holding ourselves back. Like, once we realize who we are and whose we are, there shouldn't be any limitations. Because as long as you got oxygen, as long as you can breathe, there should be an element of, that's another chance. I got opportunity. There's opportunity for me to grow. There's opportunities for me to learn. There's opportunities for me to get stronger, and to get better. So what's holding you back? Who said you can't? I think I told you the story when I was going to flight school and I got that opportunity and I was excited. I was telling everybody I was going to be a pilot. I was telling everybody, man, I got this opportunity. And the people I was telling, I thought they would be excited for me. But the reality of it is, they weren't. They're kind of passive. Who do you think you are? You're trying to be white. You have already done enough. You need to relax. And one of the individuals was a pastor. Say, hey, you got a family. You don't need to be leaving and going to flight school for a year and a half. You need to be a good steward with your family. You don't need to be doing that. So the people who you think will be there to encourage you probably ain't gonna be there to encourage you. So there's gonna come a time where, who do you listen to? Like, whose dream is it? I mean, I know the dream is yours. I know it's not just for you. I know it's designed to bless other people. But in order for that dream, the season is changing. I receive that. My season is changing. Yeah. Some things that used to be one way is about to change to be another. Season is changing, so I gotta start protecting my body. I'm preparing my immune system for this change. But I know the dream is it's initiated with you, but it's gonna come to a point where it's bigger than you. By you accomplishing your dream, you're gonna give permission for people to accomplish their dreams. There's people that's depending on you, that's looking at you. And as soon as you fail, they're gonna be like, see, I knew you couldn't do it. See, you wasted your time. But they're fickle, because as soon as you make it, they're gonna be like, I knew you could do it. I knew you can. I was always on your side. I was always there. I was in your corner. I was pulling on you, pulling for you. And it's just, you got to realize, like, whether you succeed or whether you fail, they're going to have a story for it. So if they're going to have a story, at least give them a good story. I used to tell people, I said, I live my life on stage. Meaning that everything I do, people are looking at it with a spotlight. Like, it's other people can do things and make a mistake. But for me, as soon as I do something, everybody's got their nose in it and want to know what happened and this and that. So my life is on stage. So I figure, if my life is on stage, you might as well enjoy the show. I mean, I'm going to be prepared. I understand that. I'm not going to sit back and cry like, hey, woe is me, this is unfair. And as unfair as it may be, it still is. So the fact that I complain about it or I don't like it, it's not going to change it. So you got to deal with it. I remember my daughter, when she was young, Demaria, the one that just graduated West Point, is at her duty station now. That used to be her thing. Dad, this is unfair. This is unfair. This is not fair. And I remember one day she told me this, and I didn't even think about what I was saying, but it made sense. I said, the fact that life is unfair for everyone makes it fair for everyone. Life is unfairly fair. Everybody got their level of unfairness. So I'm going to say that again. The fact that life is unfair for everyone makes it fair for everyone. Now, my definition of unfair is different than your definition of unfair, but if you were to talk to people individually, they all got an element of things they think happened to them that was unfair. So life is unfairly fair. So if you're looking for the scales of justice to be in your corner before you get started, tell me, I'll tell you now, you're going to sit there for a while. You're going to be delayed. So don't wait for the conditions to change. It's time for you to change so you can change the conditions. Don't have that chain on your foot that's stopping you that was only supposed to be a temporary bondage, and you turn it into a lifetime of setbacks. You got to get to a point where you got to realize, and start to understand, what is holding me back? What is stopping me? And is it that strong enough to contain a force such as me? You got to have that grit and determination to know, you are an overcomer. Your DNA it's a champion. You know, there are so many sperm cells competing to be you and trying to push you out the way, and yours won. It wasn't an accident. It was intentional that you're here. So how do you go from that champion cell into this defeated body? Let it not be so. There should be nothing to be able to hold you back, to be able to contain you. And if it is, it's only temporary. That setback you're experiencing, it's not a life sentence, because every day you wake up, there's an opportunity for you to get better. There's an opportunity for you to grow. There's an opportunity for you to move one step closer. And you realize that's how you accomplish goals. It's one step at a time. You know, you take a step and you get one step closer. But you got to understand, like, if you don't take that step, your globe is not in the same place. It moves further away. Like, this earth is rotating on an axis, meaning that it's constant movement. It's constant movement. So even when you're standing still, you're still moving backwards, because the time and space is continuing to exist. Like, the clock is ticking. Like, I don't know if you're in the first, second, third, or fourth quarter of your life, and no one knows. You know, my boy died at 44. I'm thinking, you probably thinking he was at halftime, that he had another half left. My little brother died at 16. He was thinking he was in his first quarter, So nobody knows when that shot clock is going to go off, My mom died at 65. She probably thinking she was entering her fourth quarter, So it's these stages of life. You can't say it's an age thing based on this age, you in this quarter. You don't know. But I tell you this, that the fact that you got up this morning means you still got time on the clock. It's time for you to grind and to get there. And when the time expires, you got to realize, hey, your score's got to be the winning score. You got to leave everything on this side of the grave. Like, there's no need for potential in the graveyard. There's no need for, unrealized dreams in the graveyard. Those dreams die with you. It's time to realize that potential, to get to a point where you utilize every talent and gift that you got on this side of the grave. So it's time to grow. It's time to get better, because you got to go to the graveyard tapped out. I mean, exhausted. Some people work all their lives to get to a point where they can sit down and relax. No, you should be working all your life to get to your dream. That's why they call it rest in peace. I'm gonna rest when I'm dead. Until then, I'm gonna take breaks here and there, but man, I ain't looking for no lifestyle of easiness and just to be able to sit back and say, hey, I don't have to do anything. I mean, life is about advancement. Rest in peace. So until then, it's time to grind. I got oxygen. I got goals. I got transitional things. I'm not always going to be in the military. I'm going to ride this pony because I want to start. But even that's so far out there, man. I'm shooting for the moon with that. But the thing about it, I'm conditioning myself to prepare for it. And I need to even grind a little harder to get there. But the reality of it is like, don't stop. Excuse me. I'm going to start wearing my hat out here, especially with this bald head. But keep grinding. Don't give up. The next try, the next shot is the best shot. Formula 409, I said this is about a month ago. It's like, 409 was the cleaning supply. But it took them 409 times to get to that winning solution. So how many things are you giving up on before you reach 100, before you reach 200, before you reach 300? Formula 409, they had to mix those chemicals together and do all those things to get it right. But if they had quit any time before a 409th time, it would have looked like a wasted endeavor. And I'm saying, if you quit any time before your breath expires, then that's a wasted endeavor. You know, that's an unrealized dream. You got to get to a point where you're grinding and that you don't, although you may not be able to see the results, you still need to go. Like when I got up this morning, it was dark out. I couldn't see, you know, but I knew where my foot was. And I put that one in front of the next one, in front of the next one, and just kept going, you know, and continued to pace and did a little extraordinary. So my challenge to you today is, first, identify your dream. Identify your goal and where you're going, you know, and then realize in order for you to get there, you can't sit where you are. You're gonna have to do something. And yesterday, I had a challenge yesterday. I mean, the NFL season started, the playoffs going, and they had just all kind of sports on TV. And I started to stay up and watch it. But then I had to check myself. I was like, you know what? And my body checked me too. It's like, hey, you're going to be wanting to run in the morning. Don't you think it's about time you go to bed? It's about 10 o'clock. So normally I would stay up and I would watch the end of the games. And I would try to see the score, you know, and do all those things. The Chiefs was playing the Texans. And it was a good game. At first, that first quarter, Texans went down and they scored. Mahomes got on, he went down and he scored. I was like, man, it's going to be a good game. But the reality of it is, them people are at work. They're doing their dream. So 10 o'clock came around, I shut that TV off and I went to bed. And that's a sign of growth for me. Like, I could have pushed it a little further and watched the rest of the game. But then my body wouldn't have been replenished with rest for what I wanted to do this morning. So when the alarm clock went off this morning, I felt like my body was replenished with rest. You know, from 10 to 5, that's 7 hours of rest. Now, how that stayed up and the game probably would have went off about 11:30 or so, and then, you know how people do in sports, they want to watch the highlights after that. It could have been a 12 o'clock endeavor before I actually got to bed. So that was growth. I recognized, like, hey, I got a dream, I got goals, I got to get back in shape. You know, it's time to go to bed, and sitting here watching football ain't helping me. You know, now if it's on a weekend or something, I may stay up and watch the game on a weekend or something like that. But on a work day, where I know I got to get up in the morning and go grind, nah, it's time to exercise a little discipline. And those are the little steps and sacrifices that you're going to have to make in order for you to be great. You know, there's going to be some times that you have to turn off the TV. It's going to be the time where you have to push the plate away. I'm still working on that one. But there's going to be a time where you got to say no to some things. And you got to realize, like, that delayed gratification is the ability to wait for what you really want instead of sacrificing the now moment for something that you kind of want. So that delayed gratification is going to have to be built up. And you're going to have to realize, like, the latter shall be greater than the former. Like, the benefits of being patient and waiting and enduring to the end. So get to a point in your life where you can push away and you can say no to some things. Say no to yourself. You know, it's one thing to learn how to say no to people. And it's a totally different thing to be able to say no to yourself. Some things that on the outside may not look like it's bad, but it's not moving you closer to your dreams. It's not moving you closer to your goal. And that ought to be your measuring stick. Like, does what I'm doing advance my cause, or is it taken away from it? And if it's taken away, then you got to have that personal courage to cut some things off. So even though TV in itself is not bad, anything in moderation, you know, there's some times that I'm going to have to discipline myself to cut it off. It's not just because it's late, but I want to increase my reading, you know, I want to increase my studying. So there's going to be some nights that I have to be intentional about reading, about imparting new information into my head, because the level of information you have now it's not sufficient to get you to where you're going. That's if you're going somewhere far. Now, if you're going right next door, then you may can survive on that. But man, if you're doing big things, then you're gonna have to get some more information. And that information is not gonna come from that television. You know, it's gonna come from books. It's gonna come through life experiences. It's gonna come through just being disciplined to do what is necessary. And I tell you this road is not, it's not a popular one. It's a lonely one. So if you're looking for people to be cheering for you, then you probably want to stay far from this road, because although there may be times in the season they do it, people get tired of you. You know, people are busy doing their own lives. They're growing, they're going through things. They don't got time to be excited about you and feeling bad about you all the time. You know, they got their own situation to deal with. So it's time for you to deal with yours, you know, and don't hold it against them, you know, because it was your dream to begin with. You the one said you were going to do it. This is something you said you were going to do. So you're responsible for it, getting it up, making it happen. So with that being said, been out here long enough. By this time, other people are starting to get up and drink coffee, and I already been out here a few hours just doing my thing. So you get up and you do yours, young king. Make it a great day.